You know, one subject on my channel that has gotten, I think, the most comments is the fact that I grow in galvanized cans, specifically the galvanized trash cans. Now, I do have these beds that I've built that are also galvanized, and they did get a lot of comments, a lot of criticism too about the dangers of growing in galvanized. But I want to talk today specifically about the trash cans. Now, I grow in both the 20-gallon and the 30-gallon. Most of the comments I get are just, they're just regular comments and some questions. But I do get some criticism. And people say that I shouldn't be growing in galvanized because it's dangerous. And so I wanted to address that today. But I wanted to address a few things. I wanted to show you what I'm growing in them. And I wanted to talk about what I think are the benefits of growing in those cans. And then thirdly, I'll talk about the, is there any danger in growing in galvanized containers? So now I've got both 20-gallon and 30-gallon. I think I have 22, 11 of each, and I'm growing 12 tomatoes this year in those cans, and they're doing tremendous. But I'll take you around and show you some of them. But I think that, like last year, I grew in the 20-gallon. I grew the Herzegovec, which is a giant. This year, I'm growing the Herzegovec again in a 30-gallon, and it's doing exactly the same. So I think once you hit that 20-gallon barrier, I don't think there's any benefit in going larger. So in my opinion, I think the tomatoes love the 20-gallon cans. But I'll talk about that after. But first thing I want to do is I want to show you exactly what I'm growing in the cans. And then we'll talk about what I think are the benefits, and then we'll talk about are there any dangers. So let me show you some of the things I have growing in these cans. Okay, the first one here is called Green Zebra. Look at the size of that stem. It's loving this 20-gallon trash can. Okay, and this is a giant called Domingo, loving this 30-gallon can. Now, by giant, I don't mean it's a giant plant, although it is a big plant. It produces mega blooms, and I regularly get tomatoes 2 pounds plus. Okay, this one is called White Tomasel, loving this 30-gallon can. Okay, this one is a favorite called Opelka, one of my favorite tasting, in a 30-gallon can. Okay, this one here is another giant called Big Orange. Now, I grew this one last year, but I did not save the seeds. So this one produces mega blooms, and I'll easily get tomatoes that are over 2 pounds. And I will be saving the seeds this year and putting them on my website. Okay, another one of my favorite called Bear Claw in a 30-gallon. Now, incidentally, I forgot to say something about this Big Orange. Last year, I grew it in the 20-gallon can, and it did just as well as it's doing in the 30-gallon. So, okay, now this is a strange one called Adam's Ribbed. Now, I tried to research the background on this name, and I couldn't find it. A lady gave me the seeds, like in 2017 or so, and I grew it. I did not make the seeds available because I couldn't verify the actual name. So I asked her again, and she said that she got the seeds from a lady who saved the seeds from a tomato that she got called Adam's Ribbed. But now I don't know if the lady named it Adam's Ribbed or if the tomato was actually called that. But it is a strange looking ribbed tomato. Let me put up a picture of one that I grew a few years ago. And so I don't, if somebody knows what that actual tomato is, let me know. But for now, I'm going to call it Adam's Ribbed. I will save the seeds and make them available on my website this fall. But if I need to change the name, let me know. I've just never seen it before. Okay, let's walk away from the tomatoes a little bit. I'm kind of boring you. And go on to some other things. Now, this is cayenne pepper in a 20-gallon can. And I've got 2 of them growing, and they're loving it. You notice I've got some peppers already on this. I've got probably a half a dozen already and doing great in a 20-gallon can. Okay, this one is called Sweet Banana Pepper. Doing great, 20-gallon can. Okay, let's move on to some garlic. This is called Spanish Roja. And look at this, I didn't even mulch it. And it's doing great in this 30-gallon can. Be ready to be harvested probably in just a few weeks. Loving the galvanized trash cans. Over here I've got Lincoln Pea, doing great in 30-gallon. And even though it's 100 degrees, they're still producing. I'll be saving some of the seeds, I think, and make them available. I'm not sure how many I'll get because I planted that late and it was only 2 plants, and so, but doing great in that 30-gallon. Okay, so I've shown this before. This was the one I showed in the video I did on how to grow potatoes in these cans. This is a 20-gallon trash can. The criticism I got was a couple people said they weren't going to do well because I cut the eyes off the potatoes and I planted them right away. I didn't let them scab over. Well, I never let them scab over, and look. In fact, just a side note away from the cans, if anybody tells you that you need to let your potatoes scab over before you plant them, just show them this. Okay, so these two 30 gallons have Walla Walla onion and Spanish Utah. Now, I planted these fairly close together, especially the Spanish Utah. They're really close together. But they're loving these 30-gallon cans, and yeah, they're doing really well. If I was to separate them a little bit more, of course, you get bigger onions. But I didn't care about getting a large onion because I have my Kelseys, and the Kelseys are my large onion variety. So I just was kind of an experiment. How did they like these cans? And look at them. They're loving it. Okay, so this is kind of an experiment. This is an apple tree, a Spartan, that I planted in here. I bought last year, and it was only just a couple feet tall. And then look at this. Look at this thing. In 1 year. Look, it's like Jack and the Beanstalk here. And so it's an experiment. I wanted to see how well an actual apple tree would grow in one of these. Now, this is a semi-dwarf stock. It's not a dwarf. And so a dwarf might even be better, but I couldn't find a dwarf rootstock. So I decided to put this one here. I'll have to cut it back. But I do have other apples that are late bloomers. The Spartan, of course, produces in the fall. So I'm hoping I'll get some apples from this. I'll keep you posted if I do, but it's loving this 30-gallon can. Okay. This jungle back here. Sometimes I'm so lazy. I got to get back in here and weed whack next to the greenhouse. But look at this. Look at this poblano. This poblano is doing great in this 20-gallon can. And it's right next to, okay, also, now you know what? This here is actually, would be the same concept because I made this bed here from galvanized sheeting. And I'll put a link below to how I made that. So it's kind of the same concept, growing in galvanized. But this here is it's what I planted in here, way back in here, I planted leeks in there. These potatoes are all volunteer. I grew potatoes in here last year, but somehow I must have missed some. They've grown up, completely taken over this box, and I can't even find my leeks. Well, I mean, I can see some of them in there, but they're getting no sunshine, and stupid potatoes. You just can't get rid of them. Okay, and this is a cucumber called English Telegraph. It's only been in here a couple weeks, and already I've got cucumbers growing here, and it's attached itself to this fencing, and up it goes, loving this 20-gallon. Oh, and incidentally, back there, that's the new garden that I built for the dwarf tomato project, so stay tuned for that. In the next day or two, I'll be doing an update video on the dwarfs. So there are quite a few things that I've got growing in those galvanized cans. I've got more down by the orchard. I've got some more tomatoes. I've got another pepper down there. Actually, I have 2 peppers down there. Another cucumber. I think it's a lemon cucumber growing. And they're all doing wonderfully, just like all the ones up here. They're doing great. They love these cans. But you know what I should have done? I should have done a comparison between the plants I have growing in my beds and the plants that are growing in the cans. The ones in the cans are growing so much better than the ones in the bed. I mean, I'm not complaining about the ones in the bed. They're doing great. They're right on par with where they should be, but the ones in the can seem to be doing, exceptionally well. But maybe I'll add that on to another video. But anyways, one of the things I wanted to talk about, the biggest criticism I get for using these cans and these beds is that people say, every once in a while somebody will post this saying that I'm crazy for using them because I'm leaching chemicals into my food. Well, here's the deal. Even before I started building these galvanized beds, I did extensive research. I mean, days and days I was out on the internet looking for information about the dangers of galvanized. And I've drawn I've drawn, I think, 3 conclusions to all this. Now, I'm not an expert, so just kind of do your own research. But so the first conclusion I've drawn is that the way that they make galvanized is they take zinc and they coat this metal, right? It's zinc is a mineral that we need, right? And it's in the soil. Our plants need it, and so it's not like a dangerous man-made chemical that is leaching. And even then, I mean, who knows how much is leaching? But doesn't matter to me. If the plant needs it, it'll take it up. So it's not something that's dangerous to me. Our bodies need that mineral, zinc, to survive. So I'm not worried about it at all. And I think that the amount that is leaching, if there's any leaching, isn't going to hurt us at all. Isn't going to hurt the food. It's not going to hurt the plant. Certainly never hurts the plant. So I'm not worried about that at all. The second conclusion I've drawn is that for decades we've been using galvanized piping in our homes. So I don't know of anybody that's complained about that, saying it's dangerous, because, I mean, for decades there's miles and miles of it run all over the place in the United States in homes. And it's never been an issue. So, I mean, I don't know why anybody would say, well, okay, I can drink from galvanized pipe, but you better not plant your plants in a galvanized container. It just makes no sense to me whatsoever. And the third conclusion is we still to this day use galvanized feeding troughs and water troughs for I don't know about water, but definitely feeding. When I worked on the farm, we had galvanized troughs that we used all over the place, all over the property, and nobody ever said anything about that. And so they weren't concerned about anything leaching into the animal feed. So I don't really understand the concern that people have about me using these galvanized cans or these galvanized beds. It makes absolutely no sense to me. As far as the worriness scale on 0 to 10, it's absolute 0. I have absolutely no concerns whatsoever about using galvanized in my garden. I don't think it leaches anything into the soil. I don't think it hurts the plants at all. Well, it doesn't hurt the plants. You can tell how wonderfully they're doing. And it doesn't hurt me. That's my conclusion. You can draw your own conclusion. I'm not a scientist, so don't take what I say as the absolute truth, but I'm absolutely not concerned about it at all. You know, I was going to talk about the benefits of using these, because I have a lot of them up in my head that I've been storing, and I was going to add that on this video, but I think I'm going to upload another video. I've got at least 7 things that I want to talk about as far as why I think are benefits to growing in these galvanized trash cans. So I'm going to upload a new video on that, and it'll be either tomorrow or the day after, and I'll put a link below to that video as well. And I mean, I've been growing in these cans for about 7 or 8 years, and I'm going to keep adding. Every year I'm going to add more cans to my garden, because I think they're just, I mean, to me, I can never see stopping. They're wonderful for growing. So anyways, I'll upload that new video in a day or two, and stay tuned for that. Don't forget to subscribe, and when you do, hit that bell. That way you'll get notifications. Like when I do upload this new video, you'll get a notification on that. All right, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and we'll catch you later.